Welcome to the third episode of Keep It Simple podcast. Today, with me, I have to say, both professionally and somewhat privately, very special guest, one of the people that inspired me to do compliance anytime, anywhere in my career. Mila Crnogorac Bajic. She has been doing many things in compliance area, in compliance field. Currently, she is presiding the ethics committee of American Chamber of Commerce in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But besides that, she's also a very influential compliance professional in Bosnia and Balkans, I would say. She is, as well as that, certified compliance and ethics professional international. She is a compliance consultant, has done many lectures and workshops and conferences about compliance topics, various compliance fields. She has participated with her team as well in doing outsourcing compliance for many companies in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I could go on and on and on. But for starters, Mila, I wish to welcome you to our podcast and express my gratitude for participating today. And as a first question, just tell us briefly what led you to compliance. What was your career path to this day?
Wow, what to say to this introduction. Thank you very much for this. And thank you for having me today. This is a really good question because at the start of my career, I didn't know anything about compliance. So the short answer would be whistleblowers. That's something that led me to this career. But to explain a little bit, I studied economics here in Bosnia, not by choice, obviously, because I was more into natural sciences. But it was the most acceptable options among very limited ones at that time because I enrolled in university shortly after the war in Bosnia. I was really happy to study anything at that time. So during my studies, I started to work in an NGO. And in NGO sector, I learned a lot of useful things there, like project management, something called log frame. I was really familiar with that. And that led me to my second job. It was cross-border cooperation programs. It was implemented by Directorate for European Integrations here in Bosnia, funded by EU. And there I was actually a part of the staff that worked on launching calls for proposals, providing training to these beneficiaries, but also for monitoring project implementation. That was the compliance part of the job, because you're going to visiting beneficiaries, checking if everything is done as predicted in the contract, whether all rules on spending were followed, for example, etc. Although at that time I didn't know that that's compliance. It's really like a compliance check, But while I worked on these programs, it was first for Serbia and then for Montenegro. I was active with an NGO that advocated for whistleblower law in Bosnia and Herzegovina, helping them obviously with project management because that was my strength at that time. But I really got attracted to the topic. The law came into force in January 1st, 2014, and it was the first whistleblowing law in Europe with pre-court protection. Famous lawyer Stephen Cohn from United States helped us to develop this draft law. And it was, as I said, came into force in 2014, years before the EU whistleblowing directive and other European laws. But while we worked on that, we realized that people are afraid, to report irregularities because whistleblowers often get retaliated against. That's how the idea to give people a safe channel for reporting was born. to give them a safe channel to report irregularities anonymously. But we soon realized that we built a tool that companies or organizations will not use if they don't have a bunch of other things, other elements. We learned that is called the compliance program. Then the real learning started for me. It never stopped to this day.
Yeah, I didn't know actually that background of the whistleblowing law in Bosnia, and thank you for explaining that. It's very nice information to hear. I didn't know that we were first at this, even in comparison to the EU. So see, actually, there are many prejudices about both Bosnia and Herzegovina and Balkan countries, especially when it comes to compliance, even though there are many professionals who are really pushing the torch forward when it comes to this topic. On the other hand, there are some stuff which are unfortunately not prejudices, and those are that the corruption is on a significantly high level, that there are problems with bribery, that there are problems with implementing some solid corporate and internal governance within companies in Bosnia and Herzegovina. To some extent, I think you will agree because of the modus operandi that people are kind of used to, and the issue of ethical business and ethical management, ethical leadership is not something that common, I would say, in Balkan countries as a thing that business owners would first think about when having a business in Bosnia. So, what inspired you to enter into this, I would say, rather very difficult fight how to make companies ethical more in Bosnia and in Balkans?
Yeah, well, as I said initially, it was the idea to give whistleblowers some safe place for reporting irregularities, to try to protect them somehow. But soon we realized that there's much more to be done. And the more I learned, the more opportunities I saw to intervene. Because of the problems you mentioned, the country is facing high level of corruption, low level of public integrity, legal uncertainty. So we realized, and when I say we, I'm saying we because this was really a teamwork with several outstanding people, and we went through a lot together. So we realized that the problems would certainly be easier to tackle with if we had a fair and transparent government on one side, and responsible, fair companies on other. You cannot have just one. You have to have both. So we try to do everything to help country grow. We help public institutions to build integrity plans. We organized first Business and Ethics Compliance Academy in 2015. It was for representatives of both public and private sector to help build compliance community, because at that time I think it was only 40 compliance professionals on LinkedIn in Bosnia. I don't know how many. Several years ago I checked, it was more than 300. I don't know how many compliance professionals on LinkedIn in Bosnia are today. So we just want to help both private and public sector to grow. To some of them, we help to lift sanctions and to become better corporate citizens. But to be clear, you talked about prejudices. Unfair business practices happen all over the world. And some Bosnian companies have been victims of unfair actions from big Western companies. And it's really important to empower our companies to fight back, obviously legally and ethically, but to help them to protect their interests. It's not, it's not happening just here. It's happening everywhere.
Yes, of course, and it's really intellectually dishonest to say, yeah, compliance issues or business integrity issues or ethics issues, they happen only in less developed countries. I would say rather opposite. They happen even more to a certain level at more developed countries because there's more actually opportunity to do so because of such development businesses and such a widespread network of situations in which actually non-compliances can occur. On the other hand, when we do this job on a daily basis, I would also say that it's quite more challenging to do compliance in a company or being even a consultant in a less developed country where this is already this is still unknown field to some extent, where there are so many pre-beliefs about what does it mean to be compliant, what does it mean to have compliance and ethics programs. And do you think that nowadays, when you look from the situation in 2025, do you still think that some companies in Bosnia, or let's say in Balkans in general, are struggling to understand direct benefit if they have compliance, robust compliance program?
I would agree with that because our companies tend to act reactively and not proactively. They wait for something to happen and then try to make it better. You know some companies see benefits, but many still don't, at least not clearly. Companies, obviously, with ties to the EU or United States, usually understand the value because they have to follow those rules anyway. And they got a help from their parent companies to establish programs. They know, they know the rules. But a lot of local businesses, unless there is a legal requirement or some external pressure, compliance often feels like just another cost.
Yeah.
What they miss is that actually compliance protects the business. And not just from legal risks, financial loss, or reputational damage, as we used to say. Compliance, let's say, with ethical values of the company or non-compliance, builds the culture of the company, whatever it is. And someone said, I don't know who really, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes.
And I believe that a good corporate culture is essential for a long-term progress. How will you build a company if not by adhering to your own values and principles, and where the rules are the same for everyone? So a lot of work is ahead of the compliance community here. A lot of things still need to change. Many companies don't see the direct benefits of compliance, as I said, until something bad happens. They lose partner, they miss some business deal, and what can I do now?
Yeah.
So that's the situation here, but things are slowly shifting, I believe.
Yes, for sure. And I can witness that from a first hand because when I started my professional career, compliance was a word that we didn't even understand. Back in those days, it was not yet in the banking law, and I was already working for a bank, so it was not regulatory obligation for us, and we were trying to understand what does it even mean. And now, fast forward roughly 15 years from that, it's a completely developed system within every bank within in Balkans, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's something, it's a must. It's not even anymore negotiable, and it keeps developing. And of course, with increasing regulatory demands on the financial sector, you have this again to some extent overlapping with the real sector. And then if you want to apply for a financial aid, you have to adhere to a certain rules, and one of those rules is that you have a robust and effective compliance program. So it's kind of like a closed circle. And I think you mentioned this already, but I think that there's an ongoing and increasing pressure from, let's say, Western companies and business partners to those partners in Bosnia and in Balkans to adopt compliance programs if they actually want to do business with them. So it's kind of also, I would say, business pressure that is leading companies in Bosnia to orient more towards compliance programs and having them in practice as well.
Yes, as you said, regulation is legislation is developing. At this point, there are laws for financial sector, for banks and insurance companies. They have to have a compliance function. And we also know that international companies here have this function because their parent companies establish that. But as you said, we are seeing more international partners that requires clear ethics and compliance standards from Bosnian companies, anti-corruption policies, etc. And we explain that to our companies that their partners, their Western companies, they can be responsible and they can pay a huge fines in their states, their countries, if some third party in some part of the world do something that's not in accordance with the FCPA or some other rule. And there are a lot of companies here in Bosnia and Herzegovina that that they are signing when they are signing contracts, they are just looking for this part of what they have to produce or to give to their business partner. Those little letters they don't really read or see.
Yes.
And there are a lot of requirements there, like FCPA, like UK Bribery Act, OECD guidelines, etc., etc. And there is also very often a clause that they can audit you. So this is the pressure we are talking about, and also international financial organizations like EBRD. If you want to get a loan, they have a compliance requirements. You have to prove that you have established compliance policies and procedures. So as you said, but I anticipate that our legislation will evolve. Also because there are some legislations that are in the region, like in Croatia, for state-owned companies. So there is a lot to be done in that part also. But we are witnessing, as I said, this pressure from business partners also.
Yeah, exactly. And one way or another, it's gonna have to develop by itself. The entire compliance story is gonna blossom, I think, even more in upcoming years. But then on the other hand, there is an issue that is constantly being mentioned, and this comes for two reasons. On one hand side, you have a lot of people actually migrating from Balkans country to either Western Europe, either even across the ocean because of many reasons. One of them primarily, I assume, economical reasons. But on the other hand, you also have a lack of resources in terms of compliance. As an industry may not be so super attractive to young people, especially nowadays, because when you start to talk about ethics and about compliance and rules and everything, people don't inherently find this to be the most interesting job of them all. I would argue differently, and I think that our job is one of the most interesting that you can have if you already decide to be part of business, to be part of all of this story, because it's ever changing job and every day is completely different than the other. But what do you think? How can actually companies overcome this issue? Let's say if you are a middle-sized company in Bosnia and you are already struggling with resources, you are struggling with money to some extent, and then you want to do a business with some foreign company. It can even be company that's in Croatia, and you want to do business with them. They demand you to establish compliance and ethics program. What do you do? How do you overcome this issue?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe the answer is in the name of this podcast. Keep it simple. Because you cannot do everything at once. The first thing I would recommend is to map the biggest risks. You will never have enough resources to address all risks. That will never happen. So map the biggest risks. What's the biggest threat to your business? And then, or maybe it's the requirement from your business partner. You have a requirement that you have this program, and you will get the contract if that's the not just risk but opportunities also. So when you define what's the biggest risk or the biggest opportunity, then build basic policies and procedures. You don't have to write everything at once. You can work on that. It's even better to start with simple policies and procedure and to develop them slowly. It's better to have a simple policies and to train people than to have 100 pages policies. So keep it simple, map the risks, try to respond to those risks with policies, procedures, with some tools. Train the people, and when I say train the people, please don't say we have a new policy, please read it. Yes, please don't say that. Explain why is that important, and what will happen if we don't follow the rules. Because people often they don't understand the rule, and they say, okay, it's not important. I will skip this part or this step. So train the people, explain why it's important, and it's the first element of the compliance program is the tone from the top. So lead by example, and when the management shows integrity, when the management is committed, employees will follow. So keep it simple and build it slowly but steadily.
That sounds like a good advice, and I hope that we reach the audience in Bosnia with this podcast, that at least to a certain extent they can understand the importance of this. But on the other hand, yes, of course it's important, and I would argue it's important now more than ever, because also, like, parallel, it's not that difficult to be a compliance officer in a very well established country, developed country. It is also not difficult to be a compliance officer when the times are good. But when the times are challenging, such as the times that we are currently in, and we know that even without going to the politics of it all, there are voices now who are worldwide saying to us, we have too many regulations, we have too many rules, business cannot breathe from you guys. You are showstoppers on this, showstoppers on that. And that's, to a certain extent, I would say, also a very slippery slope to the idea that we can now abolish all the things that people have been fighting now for decades and decades, to have this very good corporate citizenship concept around the world. And on the other hand, we can actually destroy market integrity idea if we continue on this path. And I think that part of our struggle as compliance officers, as doing this job, is to fight against this and to prove the point why is it important. What do you think why the marketing integrity in general is important, let's say even more so for countries like Bosnia?
It's super important. I mentioned legal certainty. It's here in Bosnia, with a high level of corruption, with legal uncertainty. It's not. It all impacts the market integrity, and if investors, customers, employees don't believe that market is fair, that the same rules are for everyone, they will not invest here, and that's one part. The other part is if we don't have market integrity, if companies collude or corrupt some public official, or collude among themselves while participating in public procurement, we will not get the best value for our money. Or we will get something very dangerous. So we need to establish rules, and we need to follow them, and regulators need to punish those who are not following them. But that's not one side's job. It's not just on public institutions or public sector or in business sector, because in my opinion, it's the joint effort. We need to work on that together through public-private partnerships. It's that bad because normally state or government would give us businesses the rules, and we will have to follow them. But here we have a situation that we have companies that needs to follow stricter rules than other companies, and more than once I heard that companies exclude themselves from public procurement because they don't want to participate in that. They don't want to invest their efforts, money, people, and time, whatever, in something they will not. They will not have a chance to be considered. Let's say. So. As a society, we don't get public services that we for our money, the best value for the money. We will not attract new investments. So in everyone's interest is to build this market integrity, and we will have to do this together with public sector. Through some joint initiatives.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that it always comes down to us, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all consumers, right? And we want the best value for the money. On a macro level, for a country, it means a lot of more investments. But what those investments mean that you're gonna have more options to choose from different products, services, and you want the best product and best service to be on your table for the money that you pay as a customer, as a consumer. So that's what I sometimes say to even CEOs are customers, you know? So when they are struggle against the rules, for example, rules that hit you hard like GDPR, which is very restrictive regulation, and then why do I need to set up these rules? It's gonna cost me this and that. But then I ask them, do you want your data to be manipulated wrongly? Do you want your identity to be stolen by someone? You don't. So at the end of the day, it concerns all of us. It's just that there's a big chain of events that has to happen before it hits you on that personal level, but it does. So that is why our job and this whole idea that the market should have integrity and every company should have integrity comes down to a person, that a person should practice their own integrity, especially those on a managerial level. On the other hand, there are positive stuff moving in Bosnia and happening. One of them is the influence that American Chamber of Commerce has. And now, currently, as I've said at the beginning of our conversation, you are presiding the American Chamber of Commerce Ethics Committee. Could you tell us more about this, your role and your initiative, and maybe some future plans that you guys are having?
Yes, thank you for this question. In last 3 years, together with AmCham, we implemented a business integrity initiative. It was supported by CIPE, Center for International Private Enterprises from the USA. Through this initiative, we organized a number of educational events, but also we developed some business ethics principles, and more than 30 companies signed those principles. Those are really simple principles, but you would be surprised that maybe some companies wouldn't sign. It's a question for them, but that was one initiative and gathered a lot of good companies in one place. We also have a business ombudsman initiative. It's initiative for establishing an institution here in Bosnia that would protect businesses from irregularities happening on the public side, within public institutions. Because for now, companies are stuck with some public processes. You know how many years some court processes take place. So it would be similar initiatives are implemented in Ukraine, in Poland, in some other countries. The institution that would help companies in protecting their legitimate interests. It would be a public institution also, but there are several ways to establish this. And the first thing that businesses asked, okay, who would nominate the business ombudsman?
Yeah.
There is, that's the question. There is a good option in Ukraine, where there is a council, 3 members or 3 votes. The one is government, 1 vote, second vote is business and business representatives, business associations, and third vote is EBRD and OECD. So it goes both in nominating or new business ombudsman or denying. So that's the institution that's challenging for Bosnia and Herzegovina because of our constitutional structure. But it's possible, and it's possible also to develop this institution on the entity level or even cantonal level. So that's one initiative that we are advocating for. And in following months, we started compliance road trip initiative. We want to visit members of the AmCham and to talk about challenges, compliance challenges they have, but also about good compliance practices they have, just to promote good practices and to advocate for solutions for the challenges, common challenges we all have here. So that's in short.
That sounds really amazing, and I really send you all my support, and I hope that it's gonna be fruitful. Actually, I'm sure it is, but it's a big work that you guys are doing, and thanks to AmCham, yeah, we should all be grateful in that sense that there is something moving on, and there are many good initiatives that are gonna help everybody in the process, especially business owners who wants to connect with also Western countries, with USA, with some other contractors. And I hope that they are gonna find understanding why is this good and why is compliance and ethics important for everybody in the process. Why is market integrity important for everybody. But you're gonna do now this road trip, and they might ask you or not, but I can ask you if there was one advice that you could give to CEOs of the companies in Bosnia and let's say in Balkans, what would it be?
Oh, wow, just one.
Yeah.
um, if I had to choose just one, it would be lead by example.
Mm,
That's the first and I think most important part of the compliance program, because even when you don't have any policies and procedures, if you are acting according to your values, according to ethical values, the people will follow.
mm,
Uh, that would be the first, and if it's one, just one advice. And of course, if I may add, please don't act reactively. Don't wait for crisis. Uh, Try to act proactively, to think upfront.
yeah, prevention actually can save everybody a lot of trouble. And as you said, leading by example, it's definitely a key of integrity, both on a personal and a professional level and in business environment. And let's see if in upcoming years, who knows, maybe Bosnia becomes one of the brightest examples of the market integrity. Nothing is impossible, and for Balkans country to be all the time the underdog of the story, I disagree with that. So I do hope that with these initiatives and all the plans that are upcoming, some brighter future might await everybody when it comes to compliance and ethics and market integrity. Mila, thank you very much for this, and I really wish you and all the people in your team all the best in upcoming challenges, especially the good work that you are doing with AmCham. And again, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Have a nice day.